What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel. We continue here with my 2024 predictions for the upcoming 2024 college football season. The Wisconsin Badgers are up next. Wisconsin coming off a 7-6 year last year in 2023. Of course, it was kind of a disappointing year for Wisconsin, but in my opinion, I expected them to be right there around 7-5, maybe 8-4. I know a lot of these, other people were picking Wisconsin to go 10-2. And definitely win the Big Ten West, but I was not really that high on Wisconsin. I know their schedule was pretty easy last year, but with a first-year head coach and everything, I don't think it was going to be Wisconsin's year just yet, but my thoughts on this team, though, for 2024, I think Wisconsin's going to be really good this year, but, the schedule is really tough this year. We'll get to that schedule in just a minute, but you look at the offensive side of the football, I think Wisconsin has a chance to be a really good offensive team. They have a chance to be very consistent, and then defensively, they should be really good on that side of the football as well. A lot of production coming back here for Wisconsin for 2024, so let's now get to the schedule here for the upcoming season. This is the schedule here for Wisconsin. Again, it's a lot more of a tougher schedule than, of course, from last year. Again, they were 7-6 last year in 2023. So let's go game by game now and give you a record prediction here for the Wisconsin Badgers for 2024. They play two easy non-conference games to kick off the year here on August 31st and September the 7th. They play Western Michigan and South Dakota here. Western Michigan, a group of 5 team, and then you got South Dakota, an FCS team. I think Wisconsin should be able to score like 30 or 40 points in both of those games. They take care of business, and I got them starting out 2-0 pretty easily. And then there's that big game at home in week number 3 against Alabama here on September the 14th. A big non-conference game here, of course, in week number 3 of the college football season. Probably the biggest game also here in week number 3. There's not a lot of big games out there here in week number 3 besides this one. And, the Nick Saban era is now over down there at Alabama, but this Alabama team is still going to be very talented. And I've already done my Alabama video, so I did pick, of course, Alabama to win this game. Again, I just think Alabama might be the more talented team still. I think Wisconsin definitely has a really big chance to pull off an early upset here in the season and everything. If they win this game, they definitely probably go on to have a really good rest of the year, the rest of the season and everything. Maybe Alabama doesn't have a good year the rest of the way, but again, this Alabama team I think is still going to be very talented. It's probably a low-scoring type game here between both of these teams, like I said in that Alabama video, but at the end of the day, I think Alabama is definitely the more talented team here, so I'm going to go with Alabama here to knock off Wisconsin here at their home place. So I got Alabama giving Wisconsin their first loss here of the season. So that puts Wisconsin's record here at 2-1. They get their first bye week here of the season before playing on the road at USC here on September 28th. Going to be a very tricky road game here for Wisconsin for their first official road game here in the Big Ten, and it is against a newcomer here in USC. We know offensively that USC is going to be very explosive, but defensively they do have a lot of concerns there on the defensive side of the football, but they do have a new defensive coordinator, so maybe things change here for the USC defense, but Wisconsin does get a bye week here before playing this game, and I was kind of back and forth on this game. I know Wisconsin gets a bye week before playing this game, and the Badgers are definitely the more talented team and everything, but I think playing on the road at USC is going to be a very tough one here. I think USC is probably going to be fired up for this one, so with that being said, maybe Wisconsin's probably ranked in the top 25. I'm going to go with the upset here. I think USC upsets Wisconsin here, so that's back-to-back losses there for Wisconsin against Alabama and USC, so that puts their record now at 2-2, and then they play at home against Purdue here on October the 5th. That'll be their next game. I don't think Purdue's going to be really that good this year, not as terrible as they were from last year, but maybe they might be more competitive this season with their second-year head coach and everything, but I think Wisconsin definitely is the better team here. They're playing at home, so they should win fairly easily, so I think they beat Purdue here and get a bounce-back win after 2 straight losses to Alabama and USC, so that puts their record now here at 3-2. Next game is on the road here at Rutgers on October the 12th. Of course, the Rutgers were a very big surprise team last year. It looks like this program is heading in the right direction now. You look at the Rutgers this year, they have a lot of production coming back on the defensive side of the football, so I think their defense is going to be really good. This might be a defensive battle, low-scoring type game. It could be a competitive game as well. And, the Rutgers are going to be really good this year. I think they're going to be really another big surprise team this year. I know they were a surprise last year, but maybe once again they could be a surprise team this year. And I was really back and forth on this game. I know it's not a very tough place to play on the road at Rutgers, but again, my gut feeling was telling me to go with Wisconsin here just because they're the more talented team. But I'm actually going to go with the upset here in this one as well. I'm going to choose the Rutgers here to knock off Wisconsin. So I got Wisconsin losing their third game here of the season. And I know a lot of Wisconsin fans will not be really happy with this prediction, but again, in the Big Ten, it's a very tough, it's very tough playing on the road. It's, on the road sometimes in the Big Ten Conference. So that being said, I think Wisconsin loses their third game here of the season on the road here at Rutgers. So that puts their record now here at 3-3. And then they play another road game here against Northwestern on October 19th. So they got back-to-back road games here with Rutgers and Northwestern on October 12th and October 19th. These are very tough back-to-back road games here for Wisconsin. You look at Northwestern, another very big surprise team from last year. I think they're going to be once again pretty good. Just like the Rutgers, I think they're going to have a really good defensive team, so I think we're expecting a low-scoring type game here in this one as well. It probably could be a competitive game, but, at the end of the day, it really came down to the home field advantage in this one. And, again, I know Wisconsin is definitely the more talented team here, but I'm going to go with Northwestern here to pull off the upset. And, again, I know Wisconsin fans are not going to agree with this, but again, this schedule is very tough, and I just think Rutgers and Northwestern could be both pretty good this year. So I got Wisconsin now falling to 3-4, and then after that, it's a big game at home against Penn State here on October 26th. Again, the Badgers get Penn State here at home this year. Penn State potentially a top 10 team and also a top 15 team. I've already done my Penn State video a couple weeks ago, and I did choose, of course, Wisconsin to win this one. I think Wisconsin playing at home with a veteran experienced team. I mean, after two straight losses, they come out really fired up for this one, and they're desperate for a win at this point, and it's definitely one of those upset alert type games here for Penn State, and definitely one of those trap games as well, right here in the month of October. So with that being said, I think Wisconsin pulls off an upset here in this one. I think they get a big win here over Penn State, and that puts their record here at 4-4. Next game on the road here at Iowa on November 2nd to open things up here in the month of November. I think we're expecting a low-scoring type game in this one. The Hawkeyes don't really have a really good offensive team, but their defense is going to be really dominant this year. So I do expect a low-scoring type game in this one. The final score probably could be like 3-0. It could be like 6-0, maybe 6-3 in this one. But playing on the road at Iowa is a very tough place to play. I just don't see Wisconsin beating Iowa here on the road. It's hard to go against Iowa when they're playing at their home place. So again, a low-scoring type game. I'm going to go with the Hawkeyes here to knock off Wisconsin, and that will be the fifth loss of the season here for the Badgers. So they go into another bye week here. They get another bye week here before playing at home in another big-time game against Oregon here on November 16th. And I've already done my Oregon video a long time ago, and I did choose, again, Wisconsin to win this game. I think, for both Penn State and Oregon, there's a couple games on their schedule where maybe both of those teams could probably slip up somewhere, and it is against Wisconsin. So we talked about that in the Penn State video. If there's one game that Penn State could slip up in, it's definitely against Wisconsin, and then same thing with Oregon. They could slip up against Wisconsin as well. So at this game, they're playing at home in this one. They get a bye week before playing this game with, Oregon potentially like a top 5 team. This is going to be a really dangerous Oregon team that's potentially a top 5 team as well. And plus, this game is in the month of November, and a lot of upsets do happen here in the month of November. So with that being said, I'm going to go with another big win here for Wisconsin. I think they upset Oregon here on November 16th, so that puts their record now here at 5-5. Then they play Nebraska here on the road on November 23rd. This is going to be a really competitive game. I think it's going to really be a dogfight here between the Cornhuskers and the Badgers. You got two second-year head coaches going at it here with Luke Fickell and Matt Rule. Nebraska was 5-7 last year. Nebraska with a lot of production coming back this season. Wisconsin also has a lot of production coming back, so I think both of these teams are pretty even. I think it's going to be a really competitive game. It really came down to the home field advantage, though, for me. It's a really tough game to call. So with that being said, home field advantage goes to Nebraska here. So I think Nebraska does beat Wisconsin here in a low-scoring type game. Maybe Wisconsin is the more talented team here, but I think Nebraska definitely, with the experience that they have coming back, I think they pull off a huge win here, and that puts Wisconsin's record now here at 5-6. And then the final game of the season is at home against Minnesota here on November 30th. Of course, a rivalry game. You never know what can happen in this one. Wisconsin, though, playing at home in this one. Minnesota's not going to be a bad team either. They have a lot of production coming back. I think both of these teams are pretty even as well. However, Wisconsin has home field advantage in this one. This game was on the road at Minnesota. I definitely would choose, Minnesota to win this game. But playing at home, Wisconsin definitely probably going to be favored in this one. They're desperate, for a win at this point. They're trying to get to a bowl game, at least to, have a really solid season still. But Wisconsin, I think, playing at home in a very close competitive type ball game, just like the Nebraska game. It's going to be a dogfight between Wisconsin and Minnesota. I think both of these teams are going to want to run the football. But at the end of the day, home field advantage will be the difference here. I'm going to go with the Badgers here to knock off Minnesota here in the final game of the regular season. So I got Wisconsin finishing with a record of 6-6. I know a lot of Wisconsin fans will not be really happy about that prediction, but you look at the schedule, it's very tough. You got some very tough road games. Iowa, Nebraska, those are probably your toughest road games here on this schedule. And then you got Rutgers and Northwestern. Two very winnable games. I definitely could see Wisconsin doing a lot more better than this 6-6 record. They can definitely probably go like 7-5, 8-4, maybe 9-3. If they beat Alabama at the beginning of the year, though, I think Wisconsin has a really good season the rest of the way. But if they don't, they probably don't have the best season. Let's be honest, this schedule is very tough. Again, you got USC, Rutgers, Northwestern, Iowa, and Nebraska all on the road. And plus, you got two tough home games against Oregon and Penn State, so if they don't win those two games, it probably could be a really tough season here for Wisconsin. But again, the reason why their prediction came out to be 6-6 is just because of the schedule. So that's my prediction here for Wisconsin. Again, it's 6-6 here for 2024. So let me guys know what you think about this Wisconsin team down in the comments below. What do you think their record will be for 2024? Thanks for watching this video, and stay tuned here for more sports content videos on my Lucas Ross Sports Channel.